Welcome to the real secret of the ooze. Are you ready to rip the mask off the devil? I am. Now, we're going to rip him off and expose his evil work that he's doing through television. Lester Summerall did a video called I Predict 1993. In it, he testifies of a spirit by the name of Apollyon who appeared to him in a television screen in his bedroom and said, I'm Apollyon, I am a destroyer, and I'm destroying through television, the occult, and rock music. We're not going to talk about the occult and rock music. We're going to talk about the television phenomena that is being portrayed today. But first, I'm going to read a passage of Scripture out of Matthew chapter 12 and verse 43. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he says, I will return into my house from where I came out. And when he has come out, he finds it empty, swept, and garnished. Then he goes and takes with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. In 1994, I worked for an automotive company, the largest automotive company, I believe, in the world. I was contracted into this company. I got involved with a woman who claimed she was psychic. Now, she was beautiful, and they're usually very beautiful, okay? She said she was psychic, that she could read tarot cards and tea leaves. She could read palms. She could bend a little ball on the end of a wire down to a table with her mind, she said. Well, this got my interest because I never ever, in the churches that I had been attending at the time, never saw anything spiritual or any powerful things happen. I never saw anybody get healed or speak in tongues or any people operating in a word of knowledge. The churches I were in, they just basically didn't want to get involved in anything like that. So now all of a sudden I have a beautiful woman who is introducing me to spiritual phenomena. I remember one of the first times we got together, we went to a place called the Renaissance Festival in Clarkston, Michigan. Everybody in this festival, she knew all kinds of people there, all kinds of different magician type people and fortune tellers and tarot card readers and palm readers and all this. She introduced me to all these people. I thought I was just enchanted. It was like in a little enchanted forest setting, and I was impressed, and I thought I was falling in love. Well, evening set, and we got into my car. I had a 1970 Firebird Formula 400, a muscle car, a classic muscle car, and we were driving home. All of a sudden, I felt this strange, like a motherly feeling come over me. And I just started weeping. And as I'm driving and I start crying, and she says, pull over. I said, well, I don't know, I want to pull over, come on, pull over. So I pulled over, and she started like stroking my hair, and she said, what's wrong? I said, I don't know, I just have this strange feeling come, like a motherly, like a love or something. I don't understand it. I really can't explain it. She goes, oh, that's okay. And then she put her hand over me, and she started doing something she called reading my aura. Because I said, what are you doing? She says, I'm reading your aura. She says, you can do it too. She said, I've been watching you at work, and I see angels around you real strong. And so I said, oh, you did, huh? That's interesting. So that was the end of our first date. I brought her back, dropped her off at her car, and she took off. We continued to see each other, probably, I don't know. It seemed like a long time. It seemed like it was over a period of years. But it was really only 1 month, but it was like every single day. And I have found out since that time this was a process that people in the occult would call love bombing. She would come over and we'd get together, and one time she brought this little book over to the house. Well, I got up, I made a couple cups of coffee and sat down, and as soon as she opened this book, distractions started happening. It was like she had a crystal hanging around her neck, and she was trying to teach me. Like, I have a Bible. I don't think the book she had, I don't remember the name of it, but it wasn't a Bible. But I remember as soon as she opened it, the phone rang, and it was this. I didn't know the Lord back then, and it was a girlfriend of mine, and she said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Hey, hi Beverly, how you doing?" And as soon as I said that, she slammed that book closed, and out the door she was. I remember running back outside in my socks. It was raining outside. I go, "Oh, come back, come on, I want to learn this stuff. I want you to help me elevate my consciousness like you want to do. I mean, I want to learn this stuff. Yeah, I want power, because I never experienced anything powerful in the churches that I was going to." So, see, I was seeking power, and the enemy of my soul, Satan, sent this physical beauty into my life who was, I believe, demon-possessed. And so I'm going to prove to you that this person was demon-possessed. Our relationship continued. We started having lunch together, and I mean, if it wasn't lunch dates, it was every night getting together to see each other. And one particular time I remember going out to a little plaza right on a busy section right near this corporation that I was working at. We went and we had lunch, and I remember going back out to the car, her car, and well, I'd like to say this first. She would never let me drive that car. It was a Saab. It was a new Saab. It was a classy car, and I'm thinking, hey, let me drive, Girlfriends I had in the past, I'd always drive their car. They wanted me to drive their car, but not this girl. She didn't. She was real selfish. It was like I would take her to, let's go out for lunch. What do you want? Let's go have shish kebab, But I think she maybe, and she was making good money too. I don't expect women to buy men meals and stuff, but this woman, she was in the engineering business too. If she took me to lunch, she'd take me to McDonald's. I think she took me to McDonald's one time, okay, and the whole thing. So anyway, this woman was like using me, okay? Witches are good for that, but okay, I'm going to prove to you that this woman was a witch. So we get done eating and we leave. There's this major clothing store, kind of a high-class store. We go in the store. We're in the store, and in this store they had scaffolding, like they were remodeling and painting the inside of the store. I got tired. I don't like, back then, I didn't like, especially like women's clothing stores. I said, okay, I'll wait outside. You just stay in here and do your thing, Shop till you drop, So she's in there shopping, and I'm outside, and I think I, went to the store next door or something. I waited around. Finally, she came out. Came out of the store. I think we held hands or something, and we walked back to the car. And so I entered the car, sat in the passenger seat, and she came around and sat in the driver's seat. As soon as she sat in the driver's seat, I looked over at her, and I noticed, me being on the left, that on her right shoulder was a splotch. It was like axle grease or something, guacamole. I didn't know if she had eaten guacamole in the restaurant or she rubbed up against the scaffolding inside of this clothing store when she was shopping. So I looked at her and I said, what's on your shoulder? Did you rub up against the scaffolding in the store or something? And she said, yeah, that must have been what I did. So she goes back in the store. First, she gave me her keys. And she said, see, back then I was into the rock and roll scene. I was trying to get a rock gig. I like, I sing. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to make it in rock and roll, and I'm going to get out of this engineering business. I'm tired of it. I don't like sitting in a building all day, being locked up. It's like, I was like a wild animal. I had to be outside or something and moving all the time. I couldn't handle sitting at a drawing board all day. So she said, go back to your apartment and get the tape of your practice tape that you have to, the songs you have to memorize, because at work I could listen to them and practice. So I said, okay. So she gave me the keys for her car for the first time. And the reason why was to take the focus off what had just happened, this strange green splotch that was on her clothing. So she goes into the store, buys a new dress. I don't know what happened to the old dress, but she comes back in the store and says, let's get back to work. We're going to be late. So we get back into work, and just in time, we're back in time, and people are looking at us funny and everything, and thinking we're doing something, or whatever. You know how rumors start at work and everything like that. So the next day, we go out to lunch again. We went to the same plaza for lunch. This time, I had to pick up a pair of shoes, custom-made shoes that I had getting refinished, which today I would probably just do it myself, but I was pretty materialistic back then. Things like that really mattered. And so we go to pick up my shoes at this store. Now, it was an almost identical situation. This time, she was with me the whole while, so this could not have been staged or set up. We come back out of the store. I had my shoes. Now, I remember, I remember it being like a November, kind of a cool autumn day. I remember she had a black maxi coat on and a cream-colored dress. Skirt, cream-colored skirt. We go back to the car. I think maybe she opened the door. It was her car. She was driving. I sat in the passenger seat. She goes around and sits in the driver's seat. As soon as she sat in the driver's seat, I looked over at her lap. And I saw two of the same, only this time it was big streaks. This stuff was like spread all over her lap on this skirt. And I looked over at her and I said, I'll just quote myself and I said, what the hell is going on? She said, she looked at me first. She grabbed her maxi coat and she covered her dress. And she said, she peeked up like this and turned white as a ghost, I might add, and she said, I think someone doesn't want me to see you anymore. And I looked around and I said, who? God? The devil? What's going on? I said, a lot of strange things are happening here. Ever since I met this woman, she's told me she has spirit guides. She even had names for her spirit guides. Weird things were happening. My wallet vanished one time, and then it reappeared. I don't know how, but it just vanished and reappeared. One time, this woman told me to stand up one time, and she was, going to do something with this aura analysis bit, so she started making like a snake, a weaving type motion with her hand, and said your body should start to move by itself. Sure enough, my body started moving, kind of started weaving like a snake or something, only I was standing up. And then she held her hand above my lower lumbar area and she said, your aura's red, what's wrong? And I said, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. But there was something. I was on a medication.